Hey guys, this is Karan. I live in Saudi Arabia studying 9th grade in Yambu International School. Today, in this section of physics, we will be talking about density. The topic that we are going to talk about, okay, is very commonly used word, okay. Suppose you may have heard the word density, which is the topic, so let me just write it down. Okay, so you may have heard in your daily life that this person is dense. It means whether it's heavy, okay. You may have your own meaning of density. Some of them may say dense means heavy. Dense means a person is a dense. It means he's stubborn or not social. He isn't talkative. Okay. So I bet everyone hears it in everyday life. But what do you think the word density means in physics? Okay, well, the word density in physics means that we can tell a person, okay? In physics, it tells us how competitive it is, okay? It tells us how competitive is it, which is the meaning of density over here. So, as we are going to learn physics by me, okay? So, how do we calculate density? Well, before going on to the equation part, let me tell you how do you write density in a symbol. What is the symbol? Well, it's kind of like this, okay? Now, what this is a Greek letter which represents density, which is the meaning of it is rho, and that's all they say. Okay, so that means rho in Greek, but it actually represents density in physics. So density, which is this, is equal to mass over volume. Okay, so mass is something easy to find. If you have a mass of if you have an object, you can easily take the mass out, okay? Easily find the mass out. And if it's an object, by using maths, you can find out the volume of it too, okay? Now, I'm pretty sure it's easy what the density of particular object is. So, this represents mass per unit volume. Okay, so that represents mass per unit volume. What are the possibilities of getting density as huge density? Well, it turns out that there's two possibilities. One of them is when you have mass of normal, okay, mass which is number, but volume which is pretty small, which is way smaller than mass, okay? So when you divide, you get a big number, so that is the density of it, okay? Or it has a great deal, or it has which object you are trying to find the density, that object may have great deal of density, okay? So a piece of a compound, okay? Now, since we know this, let's go ahead and calculate some examples. Okay? And density tells you how much dense an object is. Okay? It's really helpful once you get used to formulas like this. It's really helpful for you guys to understand. If someone says what is the density, well, you should know on top of your head that density is equal to mass divided by volume. Okay, so let's talk about units. Okay, now we have density over here is equal to over volume. Okay, density we'll be talking about it. Let's keep over here. And mass is always in grams. Okay. Now volume is something that it may vary. For example, that it could be ml, it could be L as well. Okay. And things like that. Okay. It has way different units, so the part which is given in volume, just take that part. It's, I bet that, but it should be related to this units up here. Shouldn't be like totally off unit. Okay. So it's grams per and again this may vary. Okay, for instance, if we have ml, okay, then over here the density is grams divided by ml. Okay, now I hope you guys can see this properly. Okay, so when you're trying to, again, when you're taking the units, when you are actually solving this, okay, so when you know the formula of density, okay, don't just get the number, remember the units of density as well, because major part, my classmates, what happens is when they learn something, they just solve it for the heck of it. Okay, I want you guys, my special YouTubers, to remember the numbers, how do you calculate the numbers and the units, so your answer is 100% correct. Okay, now having that information in our mind, let's talk about some examples. Oops, I erased the heading as well. Okay, so let me first write the heading and then talk about. Okay, the first example, okay, says that a piece of compound of unknown particle is 8 kg. The volume of that particle is 242.0 ml. What is the density? Okay, so all the question is trying to say that we have a compound which is unknown and it has mass of 8 kg, okay, and the volume of it is 242.0 well ml. Okay, well it's, when you look at the units and when you look at the information which is given, it's straightforward that everything is given and we need to divide using the formula. Okay, so then we get the density, so let's solve it. But remember, the mass is in kg, so what we need to do is convert into grams. Some people off their head knows that 8 kg is 8,000 gram, but let me do this in unit conversion. It is very useful. This unit conversion I'm going to show you, it's very useful. Okay, it's very useful and it can only convert into any units. Okay, it doesn't have to be density, it doesn't have to be grams, it doesn't have to be miles, it doesn't have to be kilometers, and so on. It can be anything that you want. Okay, we're solving for mass. Mass which is given is 8 kg. Okay, we have 8 kg over here. Always write the given first, okay, and then go and process what we need to find. We need to find this in grams, so what we do is 1 kg is equal to 1000 grams. Something magically happens here. What happens is when you have kg on top and bottom, kg and kg cancels out, and if you see, we are only left with gram. Okay, now we want to leave, we want our answer to be in gram. Okay, that is the reason we leave this gram by itself, not go further ahead. Okay, so we do 8 times 1000 divided by 1, which everyone should know on their top of their head. It's 8000. But remember the units. Change the units. Some people might convert it, put the answer correctly, but what they do is just put kg, because they're in so much hurry that they just start with kg, end with kg as well. Well, it's kind of, well, all in physics, all you do is rechecking. When you have, if you doubt that your answer is wrong, you keep on rechecking. Well, is 8,000 kg similar to this? No, 8,000 gram is similar to 8 kg. Okay, so now we're given the mass, we found the mass, and we are given the volume to be 242.0 ml. Now how do we calculate density? I'm just going to remove the information we don't really need. Okay, so we know that density is equal to mass, okay, which in grams. Okay, always write the units. Volume, which is 42.0 ml. Okay, now let me erase this since we already plugged this in question. So for density, we get our answer to be 33.058, and this is grams, so we put grams, and what we are doing is we are dividing, so slash ml. What this is saying is this much of gram, okay, this much of gram is being occupied by single ml, milliliter. Okay, so milliliter, so we have a liquid substance. Okay, so let's say we have milk, so 33.0578 grams of milk is being stored in 1 milliliter. Okay, that's what it's trying to say. This unit number of gram is in 1 unit of ml and other units which you have. Okay, so this, let me show you here, it's actually not consistent, but okay, but in this problem it tells us that this is ml, so over here in this problem is perfectly correct, so don't worry about it. Okay, and I'm telling you, I'm sorry if I'm making it confusing, but it's just the way it is. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so, and I can't make this stuff easier for you. You know how I like to make the stuff very much easier for you, but come on, it's the formula. I can change the formula. If I did change the formula, I would be such a great scientist or something. Okay, which I'm not right now. Okay, the next question says that this question is really strange kind of problem, because the answer we're trying to find last example is already given. What we need to find is what we were given in the last example. Okay, what we were trying to find is density, right? So in this problem we are given density. Okay, we need mass and volume to calculate density, but here we're giving density and volume. We don't know the mass. It tells us what is the mass. Okay, so the question goes like this, as you guys can see. The density of a box is 10 grams per milliliter. Okay, we don't know how much its mass is, but Julio measured the volume that came out to be 0.3456 ml. Okay, now always I recommend you to write the information which is given. Now you can see that the density which is given is to be 10 gram per liter. Okay, you don't know the mass. Okay, you know the volume. Volume that he calculated was 0.3456, I think. Yep, ml. Units here are very consistent. If you don't write the units, you might get stuck. So I always recommend you, no matter what test you're doing, always write the units. Because in some type of tests, what happens is I solve it correctly, but in hurry, I forget to write the units. And every single time I do that, I get half of the mark cut off. But I don't actually want half cut off of my paper because it really ruins my grade. And if you care about your grade as well, please remember, whatever you do, wherever you write the answer, don't ever forget to write units. Okay? So, we know that density is equal to mass divided by volume. Okay? Now, let me get some space over here. Since we know this equation, let's plug in the values that we have. We know the density is, okay, we know the density is 10 gram per milliliter, okay, is equal to mass, which we don't know, so let's put this in X, okay. Now the volume over here says that it's 0.3456 ml. Okay, what we do is multiply this number over here so this cancels out. Okay, let me just show you how does it cancels out, because some of the viewers might be asking how, because they like to ask a quotient a lot, and I actually like people like that. It's not that I don't like people asking me quotients a lot, because you know, when I ask my teacher quotients a lot, what happens is when you ask quotient, you're improving your thoughts. Okay, so in the test you can remember, oh, I asked him and he said this is the correct answer. Okay, and so you could recall it. So whatever questions you have, please go ahead and message me if you do. Okay, that is if you do. So it's equal to, now remember, X represents the mass, and we know that. What happens is we multiply over here by 0.3456 ml. Okay, and this cancels out, and we do the same over here. Since I'm not in the space, so when you multiply this, you should be getting, okay, you should be getting the mass, which is X, or X equals M, and we should be getting M to be 3.456 grams, because remember, it's always in grams. Okay, units are very consistent here. Don't ever make mistakes in unit. One more advice I would like my YouTubers to get is, when you're trying to solve something, write it in big fonts. Okay, when you try to write in small fonts, what happens is you cannot see what your units are, because I know some people in math, okay, might get confused in 0 and 6 because they write 6 like this, so they couldn't figure out what is 6 and what is this figure, 6 or 0. Okay, so I recommend you to write your fonts, make your fonts in a big font. Okay, that really helps. Okay, now our next topic is going to be about pressure. So as you guys can see, density and pressure should be related to each other. So I would recommend you, after watching this video, if you still have time, please go ahead and watch my next video, upcoming video. Okay, thank you. Please go ahead and subscribe, like my video, give me feedback on how did you like it. Thank you.